So in this second live stream series part, I'm going to work more on the Discord, because once I submitted the pull request yesterday, there was some pretty good feedback about it. And the feedback said that the Discord URL with hard-coded here can change. And if you use Discord, you know that these links can expire. And even though I've set this one to never expire, it can always be good to make the system a bit more resilient. Because once you put the link into Mudlet, unless somebody updates their Mudlet, it won't be really possible to update it. So, a better way to get the Discord link is to go to this URL here. And this URL will always be the same. And this URL, if we have a look at it, has an instant invite link right here. You see how we have channels, instant invite members, and etc. So it's better if we use this link. So what we're going to do is we're going to make Mudlet download this link, download this JSON, parse it, and pull out the link from it. So by default it'll be hard-coded to the current URL that we've got, and when Mudlet starts, it'll go off, download the JSON file, and replace the value. So in case sometime in the future somebody hasn't updated their Mudlet forever and our Discord link has been broken, when they start up their Mudlet, at first they won't be able to connect for a very short while, let's say like a few seconds while it's downloading a file. They won't be able to use the button correctly, but after those few seconds the button will work with the right link. So to do that, we need to make a new function that downloads this JSON, reads it, and then sets up this URL. So let's start by making a proper variable in our model class for this Discord invite URL. Private, main pane. Alright, we can stick it on here. QStrong, nope, QString. Mudlet Discord invite. Mudlet because this is for a Mudlet server and not somebody else's server. And we're going to set it to this by default. So we go to a constructor for the Mudlet class. And the constructor is a little bit tricky here, so we're not going to put it there, but perhaps I will just put it right here. Right in the header. And instead of using it hard-coded here, we're going to use a variable here. So now, if everything works, our Discord invite URL should still work as before. And in step 2, we'll go off and download the JSON, parse it, and actually set this variable dynamically. We'll update it. We're going to have a default value at first. And because we've changed the header, we have to recompile more than just this file, which is a little bit slow. So while we're waiting for that, we're going to go off and see how to do JSON in Qt. And thankfully it's pretty easy, because Qt has a pretty nice set of classes for manipulating JSON, which I've used before. And where did I use it before? I know, when downloading themes for the code editor. You know how you can go off and change your themes in it? No, that's not the trigger editor. I want the profile preferences. That's where you set the theme. There we go. Alright, so first of all, let's test that this still works. I click, and opens. Perfect. Actually, it redirects me right here to this. Instead of using the short form, we might as well use the longer form, just so it's faster. It doesn't have to do a redirect. User experience is paramount. So, let's try it again. Meanwhile, this is how we download a file. I won't use the... So here, it basically sets up the network request, and then this is what it will do if we fail. If we have an error, it'll say couldn't update the themes. But if it's successfully finished, and this is a bit of complicated code, but if it's successfully finished, it opens up the theme, it has a look at it, and it does more things. So I'm just going to lift all this work that I've done before to figure out how to do that. Actually, it also includes a cache directory, so it doesn't have to download it every time, which is pretty nice. I think I should do this. What is the cache directory? So, okay, cancel here, open Discord, and yep, straight to the URL. Nice, very nice. Yep. I wonder how often we would need to update this URL. How often do we actually need to go and download this file? Probably not every single time we launch Mudlet. For the time being, we won't worry about it. The file is not that huge. Yeah. We create a new function. We need to drop it in the header. Oh. Ay. Yes. I want it to go into the header, please. No, doesn't want to give me a header definition. Fine. I'll do it myself. Private void. I've misspelled this horribly. Invite. Update Mudlet Discord invite. That makes sense. This does not. There we go. There we go. Right, we're now going to set this themes period just now. And we won't have any download labels to show. We don't need to show the user that we're updating this. This would be just unnecessary hassle for them. So we set up a cache directory. We need a URL, and this URL is going to be hard-coded. Right? Right. Because this will not change as long as the Mudlet server on Discord exists. So this is pretty safe to hard-code. We set up a network request. We tell them that, hey, we are a Mudlet client that's connecting to them. We don't need to save GitHub and load from cache if possible. This is self-understood. If there was an error, then just don't update the URL. We should actually say something about it. So, what we'll do is a queue debug. Actually, a queue warning is more appropriate for a warning. Now, how do I get the URL out of a queue URL? I want to get the text out of it. Set URL. So there's appropriate .url. Perfect. The output can be customized. Default is pretty is good. .url. There we go. Now we'll print something into the standard output, which is this text that you see here, when we couldn't update that file. And do I have any formatting issues? Maybe. Let's make this code a little bit better aligned. There we go. I don't think it's correct. Yes, exactly. It's thinking it's finally caught up. Excellent. There was an error. Don't quit. Yes, but that code is obvious, so we're not going to have an obvious comment. Q byte array. I don't download a zip file here, actually. So I don't need any of this unzipping, but I do. So we can just get rid of all of this. Actually, and try and read into a QString. I'm sure there's a read all method that can work for a QString here. So, how do we call this file? It's called widget.json. But this is the text representation of it. This is not in JSON form. So for now, I'm just going to read it, and we're going to print it to the standard output. And if it works well, we should see something when we run Mudlet. So let's give it a go. Compiling a few more things than we need, because we've added this. Now, where I read the themes, file was this populate themes list. What we do is, once we open it, we do q document from JSON. I can just do that, actually. It's an array? Yep. No, I don't know if it's an array, actually. I think it's an object instead. Yeah, okay. This is all pretty trivial, and all I need is this bit. So, here's Mudlet, and remember what we did? Pressing this button. Oh, actually, not pressing that button. It should do anything without pressing a button. Ah, it didn't do. Shit. Because I'm not actually calling this function anywhere. I've created it, but I'm not calling it anywhere. And we need to call it on start. Where is start? Start is also when it checks for updates. Checks for updates on start. This makes sense. Where do we call this function? I think the search was quite correct. There we go. It wasn't quite correct. We call it here. Okay. Start auto login. Just so we don't overload Mudlet at start when Mudlet is starting and we checking updates and yada yada yada. It's not super essential to have Discord URL be super up to date. I mean, the one that we have is going to work for a long while, so I'm going to put a little delay on it so it can be done later, so the whole thing doesn't load to a crawl. So we're going to have a single shot timer that does this in the future. Let's say a few seconds afterwards. We can't have a single shot timer here. Was the argument to queue timer single shot? Queue timer single shot. And there's another constructor I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking for. Context. I shouldn't have this here. I don't think. Because the context here is not a Qt object. Unless I can pass it the queue app. Which is a Qt object. So this timer would like a parent object to live under. It needs to be a Qt object. Let's see if it will accept. I don't need to capture queue app in my lambda. Okay. Let's see if this will work. Now I can hardcode it to 2000, which makes you wonder what is exactly 2000. Or I can actually say 2 seconds. But in order to be able to say 2 seconds, we have to use C++ 14, I believe, or newer Qt version. Where is it? I have an example somewhere of using chrono. No. This isn't what I was looking for. Let me think for a moment. There was an example where I used QTimer for sane argument to it, but I don't remember where. Timeout, no. Purge timer, nope. Mudlet timers, nope. This is the one that we're looking at. No. Okay. So we'll just do this. The compiler will optimize it, and hopefully it'll be a bit more intuitive to understand that this is actually talking about 2 seconds. Let's see that it works. First of all, before we do much. So ideally we start Mudlet, and then 2 seconds later, hey, single shot timer fired. It worked. Amazing. So now I don't want to do this, but I want to update Discord Mudlet invite, but we can't call it. I put it as a private function. We need to make it public. Lordy, there's a lot of things that are called update. There we go. Move it out from private headers, private parts, into public. There's a lot of public things. So we'll stick it in here at the end of all of these functions. There we go. There we go as a private. It will not be private anymore. And when I go to my function, it should say, instead of reading anything, it'll say for now. Whoop. It's a terrible debug message, but I only need to see it once. So it's good enough for our purposes. Let's see what happens. I've changed the header file, so I have to change a few more things that I'd like to, but that's alright. Meanwhile, we can start working on code to parse the JSON file to actually retrieve our instant invite. I don't want to create an array, I want to create an object. So I'm fairly certain the way to do that is just calling the object function. Perfect. And we will do some oops, a few compile errors, no problem. We fix. We'll fix it by actually reading the directly from reply. Read from reply, get our widget JSON, and then we'll have an empty object. So then we will check if we have a particular key, and a particular JSON key we're interested in. It's called instant invite. And if there is a key, we can update our URL. The return QJSON value is undefined if this key doesn't exist. Perfect. This is what we'll apply our defensive programming to. Canceling this. Look at that. File successfully downloaded. Amazing. It's working. Exciting. Download and delete unnecessary spam. So now we have our object. Auto invite key. Yeah. Is widget JSON dot what? Dot value. String literal. Now whenever you're doing this, it's always best to copy paste, just to avoid manual typing errors. There we go. Now if our invite key is not what we want, as in is this Q value undefined, then we error. Not very good. So I can't even spell invite key. This is why I should copy paste. If we didn't have the invite key, quit, there's nothing to do, and we'll just fall back to the hard-coded one. But if we do have it, then we can do a pièce de résistance, which is update our invite with invite key. I believe it's toString. I believe so. And we'll just put in a debug message to echo our new value. We don't need to have a space after this. QDebug will insert it automatically for us. Alright, if everything worked, it's good to go. Look at that. Discord URL invited to this link, and this link is exactly what you see here. Pretty nice. It works. Now we're more future-proof. In case the hard-coded URL we have here for some reason changes, it actually sets it to a different invite. 1212. But this is the URL that we use on the website, so it should stay. Anyway, if this one ever expires, it'll fall back to the one that JSON tells us in their API in the start invite key. But we're not done yet. We have to review the code to make sure it is all kosher. So we don't need any debug messages. It's not useful. make use of a cache file. So Discord actually, do they use headers? Yeah, max age, okay. Expires. When does it expire? Expires tomorrow. No. Expires in like 5 minutes. Okay. Well, not super helpful, but that's alright. And it expires so early because it actually has the member list here. So you see the member list in Mudlet here. All of these members are also available in here. You can actually see what game we're playing. Go you for playing Mudlet. That's awesome. That is fine. I'll still make use of a cache, just because it's a good idea. Alright, let's go and review our code. What we have created. We created a new Mudlet update Mudlet Discord invite function, and we've created a new member with URL. Good. Here, 2 seconds after Mudlet starts, we go and download the themes. Hopefully 2 seconds is enough for Mudlet to load. And here we open the URL and we update is. This is all the code that we've got. Yeah, pretty simple. It is a simple feature, so let's go. Review feedback. Review feedback doesn't fit. Update mask. Come in and push. Now, I've done all of this, but I haven't tested if the new invite URL actually works after it's been updated. That is super important to test. Always test your work. So while that's coming up, we can go here. Oh, here we go. Okay. Wait 2 seconds, it's probably updated. Click on Discord. Does it open? You've been invited to join Mudlet. Accept invite. Yes, please. Discord app launched. Whoa. Fancy. Accept. Okay. A little confusing. But there we go. Here's the new commit that we've done. If we go to the commits, we see what we have to. And here are the updates we've done so far to Mudlet. We've managed to squeeze all of it in, what, 80-ish lines. So pretty good. Alright, I think this concludes this live stream. Thanks for watching.